Hi everyone. It's
Hello.
Abby. Hello.
Ronnie.
And Ronnie. We're here. So we have both read Quicksilver in the past week and a half. I finished it this morning. And we know a lot of people are choosing Quicksilver as their hangover book for Onyx Storm. So we thought we would just do a fun little bonus episode and talk about our reactions. There are no notes for this episode. We are not talking about any theories. If we talk about theories, it's not theories we've prepared notes on. Really just two friends riffing about a book that they just read. And I think we both liked it. I think we both had good opinions of it. But
I mean, I
yeah,
read it, like, I literally stayed up until like 1 in the morning every night reading this stupid book.
it did that thing where I thought it was a stupid book. And then I was like, oh, it's not a stupid book. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it
Which I
definitely pleasantly
love.
surprised me. I'll say
Spoiler
that.
alert. Spoiler alert. This is not a spoiler free zone. We're definitely going to talk about the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Spoilers. If you've not read Quicksilver by Callie Hart, to be clear, leave.
I also
Come
just
back
started
later.
following her on Instagram. I think she's a great follow. She seems to be very funny. I'm a big fan of hers.
I think she's written quite a bit actually, and interestingly,
Yeah.
Quicksilver was first self-published, and it did so well self-published that it got picked up.
Wow. You know more than I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
So
all right. My first question about Quicksilver, Ronnie. Who is this man?
the cover
This
is
is not
widely accepted to be not
Kingfisher.
preferable. Yeah, no, it's not Kingfisher. I actually have screenshotted fan art that I choose to
Yeah.
accept as Fisher, but that is not him.
Yes, for
No.
listeners, I have just held up the cover of Quicksilver.
Yeah.
This was kind of my first red flag for this book. I don't like. Why would you do this? The fun of a book is coming up with these characters in your head, right? Or finding an image that works for you.
I think there was an old cover though. Like I think
Okay.
that's an updated cover. So I
Okay.
wouldn't knock them based on that. I think it was a super fun book. I mean, should we just talk initial reactions?
Yeah, sure.
Like generally.
Yeah.
Okay, so my trajectory of reading this book was I started, for people who are listening, my hand is low. I started here, just literally looking for something, anything to pull me out of this post Onyx Storm absolute fucking spiral that I have been on. I felt like the world was super interesting off the bat. So I was like, interesting, like metals. Didn't see
Yeah.
that one coming. Love
Yeah.
that. Love a like world that isn't like ours, like the twins, the suns in the sky that never really go down. I thought that was super fun. And then we meet Fisher. And I was like, this is a little forced. It's feeling a little forced. And then this happens to me often. As soon as they're together, I have amnesia where I'm just like, actually, it didn't feel forced at all. And this all feels perfect and totally fine. And I would say from when she started working on Quicksilver and relics in general, from there, I was hooked. I was like, okay, great. I'm into this
Yeah.
magic system. I'm into this man. I got more into Saris. And I thought it was a good book.
I totally agree with you. So I loved Zahelna. I was like, this is a fucking interesting
Zahilna.
world. Yeah.
You're still in Empyrean.
What's it called?
Zilverin.
Silver and fuck.
Zilvarin,
Jesus
I think is
Christ.
actually how it's
Hold
pronounced.
on, hold on, hold on.
Zilvarin, the Silver City. Just
Zilvarin.
say the Silver City.
Okay, I loved the Silver City. I loved the first world. I was like, this is so interesting.
Yeah,
There's two suns. What does that mean for their gravity? You know, like
yeah,
questions like
yeah,
that. Like,
yeah,
and there's no nighttime. And like this queen that lives forever. I was like, this is fascinating. Like, I am
yeah.
all about this. And
Human queen who lives forever.
then we leave and then we're like not there anymore. And I was like, no, take me back. Yeah. So okay, Fisher is such a Zayden ripoff.
Hmm.
Like to a point. Like to a point. Like their personalities are kind of different, but like the shadow wielding, the talking to each other through
Yeah,
their like minds, whatever. Like, oh, he's super tall, he's covered in tattoos. Like, and I to the point where I was actually like, is this girl writing Rebecca royalty checks? Because this is just Satan. Like, this is literally just Satan.
yeah,
I grew to love him for sure, for sure. But unlike Zayden, who is like never actually a dick to Violet, right? She expects him to be a dick, but he's never actually a dick. Fisher is a dick,
hmm,
like for a long time. And
yeah,
I don't like that trope of like, oh, a guy's a huge asshole, and then a girl's like, well, whatever, he's really hot, I want to fuck him. And I was kind of like, I don't, yeah. That being said, thought the second sex scene was really fucking good and really hot. I really like that one.
Interesting. I
Maybe
would say, like,
revealing.
as far as the Fisher v. Xaden comp, so, like, I think I texted you when I was halfway through the book and I was like, just so you know, Kingfisher is Xaden. I think in the second half of the book, he grew out of that a little bit. First of all,
I agree.
I noticed the differences between them because I am personally a way bigger fan and think I would actually be into Xaden in life,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
don't feel that way about Kingfisher.
I
Like
totally
his
agree.
style's super different. He has not as much swagger, way more self-loathing,
Yeah.
and like his style in the bedroom is also like the things that come out of that man's mouth. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like,
I
what did you just say? Excuse me?
like totally things that if a guy actually said to me, I would vomit, but like
Yeah.
I'm
Like,
okay
yeah.
reading them. I'm
That is
okay
an
reading them.
audiobook I can never listen to. And I don't do audiobooks, but like I could never.
The nectar line, I was like,
Oh
oh
my God.
my God.
Yeah. And even the more subtle stuff, like I don't want to say it. When he says you look so pretty like that type thing. He's very much a I
He's
would
kind
describe
of a
Xaden.
chauvinist, like
Yeah.
borderline.
Borderline. Yeah. Anyways, like not as much my taste. And that's when I was like, okay, this is not really Xaden, but it's trying to be. And then I think later in the books, it actually became more apparent that he is more of a hero than a martyr, kind of,
Yeah.
or is shaping up to be. But because he was presented to us in martyr status with the Quicksilver in his eye, and he like went through a Quicksilver portal with no relic and all this stuff, we all immediately likened him to Xaden. And I think to be clear that he's worse. I don't think that he is one for one to Xaden in
No,
my
I
book.
agree. I don't think he is an exact Xaden comp, but there are so many similarities.
He was written for a Xaden lover.
He was
Yeah.
written right, right. It's like Callie read Xaden and was like, oh, I could do that. I could do that
Yeah.
maybe better. I
Yeah.
don't know. And
Yeah.
I do think, I know we don't know how many books there's going to be, but at the end we
It's
find out
supposed to be
she's
three.
okay, 3, but okay. I thought we were getting set up for like 7 because this one's Quicksilver, the next one's Brimstone. That's 2 of the 7 materials she's supposed to be able to talk to. So I thought we were being set up for 7.
We
But
might get seven. I think the trilogy is based on the fact that she always writes trilogies,
yeah.
but we could totally be getting seven. I also think there's a style that you are not yet exposed to, but you will soon when you start ACOTAR, where they'll like write 3 books and wrap the plot in 3 books, but continue to write beyond
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
which I think would be fun too.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
but
could use something
I
that
enjoyed the Fae world. I enjoyed it as it went on more. Like it's kind of a more traditional fantasy world in which there's a bunch of different characters and like the magic is more pervasive rather than just being solely focused on dragons, which was fun.
yeah.
I liked that a lot. I think the last 50 pages of this book are insanely good. Like really, really, really good. I would have happily, I think I texted you and Gabs this morning. Like I would have happily read an entire book just basically on the plot of the last 50 pages of this book. And I'm kind of sad we didn't get to do that. But like the labyrinth, love a labyrinth. I love a
Yeah.
labyrinth. Like
That
that
was
was
also
good.
like it happened so fast, and I don't feel
Yeah.
like we were necessarily deprived of detail, but it all happened in like a very short period of time, rose a ton of questions. I don't personally know how I feel about the whole vampire thing in general, but we were introduced to suddenly, right? It was suddenly Madra, whatever his
Yeah.
name is, it's the king's
Malcolm and
name.
Bellicon.
Malcolm and Bellicon. All of them are referring to each other as siblings. BTF was that.
Yeah.
Also, like, how is Madra human and alive? Like, I kind of assumed that that was a Malcolm driven event, but I was just like, what's happening there? Then we hear, like, Malcolm sexual assault type stuff with Kingfisher. It was like, what's happening there?
Yeah.
Then we hear about like siring and enthralling and weird loyalties.
Yeah.
Teladius is maybe good. Like I was just like, what is happening? And
Yeah.
then she talked to Zareth or whatever the heck his name is, and I was like,
Yeah,
I
the
feel like
fact that we get to the gods at the end of book 1
yeah,
is wild.
who have
It's
been
wild.
absent the entire time. I was just like,
Yeah.
guys, I need this spread out over like we could have
This
made
is
the first
10 books.
yeah. And by the way, the first half of the book was like a quarter of a book.
Would have happily, if we're being honest, I thought Zilverin was so interesting. I would have spent a book there. I
I
would have
think we'll
spent
go
a
back
yeah,
because
I think
Hayden's
we are
still
gonna go
there.
back. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hayden and Elroy are still there.
Yeah.
But if this had been 3 books, right? Zilverin, and then I don't remember the name of that land, but the elf
Velia?
land. Avelia, thank you. And then the labyrinth. Like I think that still works. I think this works as a
Yeah.
trilogy on its own.
Yeah.
I also, what voice did you give the Quicksilver?
Like a ring type voice.
What do you mean?
Like the voices that you hear from the ring in Lord of the
Okay,
Rings.
because to me, it's Alvin and the Chipmunks, which does not work.
That does not work. That does
Like,
not work. So did you hear Anorath more in a Alvin
yeah,
and the
yeah.
Chipmunks?
Anorath Moore. Like,
No, I
fully.
heard like a kind of sinister whisper type vibe.
Yeah, and that's probably what it was. But that's the way my brain worked. Also, the supporting cast of characters in this book. I know people talk about this with Onyx Storm that they love every man. I do too, but that took me 3 books. I loved every man in this universe. Every man.
Carrion gets the
Carrion,
MVP award.
so good. So good.
He is
Honest to
my
God.
favorite character.
Renfis, great. Lorith, fantastic. Like, I
Yeah.
love them all. And I texted you this, but I'm like, why go for Kingfisher? You have these amazing men right here at your beck
Yeah.
and call. Like, why go
Yeah.
for the one who's being a huge dick to you?
Unfortunately, because of who I am as a person, I totally get the Kingfisher thing, but I agree
There's definitely
that
old Abby would have gotten it. Yeah.
I probably also would have gone for Carrion, to be honest, though.
I would have definitely gone for Carrion. I would have definitely gone for Fisher, but I think I would have ended up with Lorith. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's right. Yeah.
But then I think my actual boyfriend is a Renfis for sure. But
Yeah.
maybe he's a Lorith. I don't know.
I don't know who my actual.
I think he's a Carrion.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I loved Carrion, so that worked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huge fan of him. Huge fan of that. Like, but I do want to, I'm super curious, like, how did he stay hidden for so long and cycle through so many generations of
Right.
people? Because, like, so this is your first Fae book. Fae and other books get old, but they aren't like 2,000 years old.
Right.
Like,
So how old does Carrion have to be at the end of this book? Because Fisher is
I'm reading
almost
too many books right now.
2000, right?
No, Fisher is like 1700 something.
Right. Almost 2000 years old.
Okay, well, that's kind of a far away from 2000. It's like, I don't know,
300
like
years.
20% of his
Sure.
age.
Sure.
Carrion Swift age. Hold on. He's 1095-ish.
So he's younger. Okay.
Yeah, but still, like 1,000 years, he's been living with that caretaker's line for like 10 generations.
I mean, maybe it's just that so many people die, they just don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a
don't
good
know.
question.
Or has
Right,
he
did
been
he
like bopping
change?
around?
Has he been changing his appearance? Like,
Yeah.
you
Or
know,
but it says that his father glamored his
Fisher's
ears.
father.
Yeah, Fisher's father, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, Fisher's father glamored Carrion's ears and like magic, because you can kind of see-ish magic on Fae, so I've been told by books. So he's been glamored by Fisher's father, who's definitely still alive, right? Should we just talk about that for a
Absolutely.
second?
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
your Elroy guess is the right guess.
Yeah, maybe.
But does that make them kind of siblings? Ew. I don't know.
Well, that's what I don't like about it. But I also don't know, like, I also am just curious what's going on with Sayrus's line.
Well, what do you think when the god says she's daughter to no one?
What did I think when I read that?
Maybe
I
nothing.
mean, she doesn't have, like, her father is, like, undisclosed, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Is her mother not her mother? Is she just a found baby, basically?
Yeah,
I don't know.
maybe. Or, like, or her father is just irrelevant, basically.
Yeah.
And her mother was, like, effectively erased from memory. She, like, rotted in the streets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe it just means no one important. Like Jon Snow.
But
You
then,
are no
like,
one,
how...
Jon Snow.
Yes, exactly. But then how is alchemy passed down, and like why is she suddenly like it did seem so the other thing I liked about Zilaran actually is that you could tell that there was magic at one point. Like they had been going up and rounding up anybody who had even remotely magical abilities and like squashing it. And I think one of the most interesting things that kind of ties everything together is the fact that the first thing she does is steal a gauntlet that has silver in it, and the queen and her guard freak out. So I think there was definitely some knowledge from Madra's side that there were alchemists in the Silver City, and she was rounding up as much silver as she possibly could to make sure that none of it was out in the world. And she like freaked out when some of it was out in the world.
Yeah. So the gauntlet had Quicksilver in it because she could talk to the gauntlet, which means that Madra has been outfitting her guard in Quicksilver this whole time,
Yeah.
which
Yes.
means Madra must have an alchemist, right? Because there is
Or
no
did?
Quicksilver in Silverin.
Well, there's the pool that's been
There's the
frozen by
pool
the
that's been
sword.
frozen, right? But I assume,
Yeah.
but you can't coax that into being forged.
But an alchemist can grab the sword and unfreeze the Quicksilver. So if she had an alchemist, in theory, she could have gotten out at any time.
I don't know. We're getting too deep into theory, and we were trying to avoid theory on this one. This was
I
just a
know, you're
fun
right.
one.
Anyways, Quicksilver was fun. What else were my visceral reactions?
I think everything except the love story for this one really worked for me.
Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
And
And
the
I
love
think the love
stories,
story, I think it'll recover. Like, I think it'll get better.
yeah.
I just struggle a bit. Like, I always struggle in the beginning with like a mate's trope
Right.
because it feels unnatural. Like, it just
Right.
does. I want to know more about his mom,
Yeah.
Fisher's mom, and his dad for good measure, but
Well, we
Fisher's
think it,
mom.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I want to know
Um,
more about these gods.
yeah. The gods will be good. Other realms will be interesting as well.
I love the idea that this is a little bit sci-fi. Like, I love that the portals open you to different planets and what that could kind of introduce in terms
Yeah.
of like
Yeah.
aliens, gravity, other creatures,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah. You would
You
like
can
Crescent City.
really, what?
You would like Crescent City. But yeah,
Exciting.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I like that.
I am like a little bit annoyed that the first thing that we have to deal with is her potentially being like coronated by the vampires.
Yeah, so like what's happening with that? Like, are they bad? Are they good? Do they just follow the whims of whoever commands them? Why are we all down with Teladius now? Like, what the fuck is going on?
So can we first confirm like what happened when she got the coin and
Oh,
got the ground?
oh my god, I don't understand the bet. I do not understand the fucking coin flip. This makes no sense. It makes no sense to me.
They were trapped because the coin never hit the ground.
That is not what the deal said.
Okay, what does the
That is
deal say?
not
Read it to me.
Oh my god, do I have to find it? I went back and I reread this. At no point does it say the souls of the people in the city will be trapped until the coin hits the ground.
But I took it,
Hold on.
so let's revisit that. But it seems like the people now have been released.
Yes.
The dying people are gone. And so
I
now,
took that only as the people from Gilf
yeah, the burning
Gilf
people.
3. Yeah.
Yeah. The
Okay.
burning
I
people
got
are
it.
gone. Okay. Yeah, read the bet.
All right. Sorry. We try not to read directly from books on this pod, but all right. Belicon proposed a deal. He found a coin, only used in Gillethry, the smallest denomination of currency the Fae had here. He said if the coin hit the ground and landed leaf side up, Malcolm would call off his horde and leave the city without hurting another living thing. But if the coin hit the ground and landed fish side up, he would take the city as his own and destroy it, and I would have to leave those still alive to their deaths and meet him on the field of battle at a later date. You're leaving out all of the best parts, Belicon introduction. He also wasn't allowed to touch the coin or influence the way it fell. While the coin toss was being decided, he wasn't allowed to harm me or my brother, not a hair on either of our pretty heads. And until the outcome of the coin toss had been decided, he wasn't allowed to speak of the deal or the fact that Malcolm and I were brothers. And he agreed. Okay, two thoughts from this. One, at some point, Belicon then releases him from his oath. Belicon releases him from this so that he can tell, I was about to say Violet, tell Ceres what's going on, right? So he releases him from his oath, and then Fisher stabs him, right? Harming a hair on his pretty head. So does that mean the whole thing is null and void if you release someone from part of the deal? Or are you releasing them from all of the deal? In which case, why do they have to
Why
find
do
the
they continue
fucking
burning?
coin? Why does it matter?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, the way that I interpreted it is because the coin never hit the ground, there was basically no part of the bargain that needed to be upheld except for those pieces. And so, like, they weren't beholden to leaving the people alone and doing anything else.
Totally agree. Totally agree. But when the coin does fall, why does it matter? Why does it matter? Like, at what point in the deal I just read?
Yeah. Are these people like stuck
Trapped.
in purgatory?
Yeah.
Don't know. But did they get freed? I don't even remember.
Yeah.
I read it like
When
a
the
week and a half ago.
when the coin hits the ground, the
They're
souls
free.
disappear. They're free.
Yeah. Great. Sure. Fine. And so then she is turned vampire. So I interpret it as Teladius turned her vampire. And then the conversation she had with Zareth, like saying, I'm going to make you something that basically can't be detected, was the part of her that became Fae. So he was like, okay, now you're half Fae, half vampire, whatever. She wakes up, learn that she bit Teladius,
Right.
and he didn't want to talk about it without Fisher. So I'm like, now do we have a love triangle between Ceres, Teladius, and fucking Fisher? And can you even have a love triangle with god-fated mates?
Like, I
Like,
don't think
what?
so.
I don't think so either. Yeah, and now she's gonna be what, queen of Sanisroth?
I don't know. I'm definitely gonna read it though.
Definitely gonna read it, but like, I have questions.
And I'm 99% sure that girl Danya is gonna be Fisher's ex.
Yeah, that would make sense. She's very cat-like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
All right. I
I'm
don't
excited.
really. Yeah. Maybe we do an episode or two on Quicksilver if that's something people are interested in or something. But
We could maybe do like maybe we should do one like pre when the book comes
yeah.
out with like here's our questions, here's what we think might happen, and then when the book comes out we can do more interesting things depending on how good it is. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, we're very much in that point where it's like this series could be great or it could be terrible.
Yeah, the next book is going to make or break whether this is a good series or
Yeah.
not.
Especially if it's only a 3-book series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my God. Sometimes I think about your poor friend who thought that the Empyrean was a 3-book series and read the end of Onyx Storm and was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I was on a run when she texted me and was like, her exact words were like, "What the fuck was that? I thought this was a trilogy." And I was on a run and I did stop to answer her because that would have mortally wounded me, honestly. So,
All right. Well, that's
fun read.
Quicksilver. Yeah. Fun read.
I like Ceres more than you did. I think I like Kingfisher a little bit
I
less.
haven't read the sword scene yet when I was texting you that. Yeah, so Sarah's annoys me in a way that Violet doesn't because she's your classic, like, I'm already like fully strong and powerful and better than everyone else at everything, right? Which Violet isn't. But like I can learn to forgive that.
Okay. Okay. All right.
All
That's the
right.
bonus up. See you next time, guys.
Hey.